Welcome to Club E. Hi, I am Rick Brimacombe of Brimacombe and Associates. I am your architect of business growth, and I will work with you to amplify the potential of your company and increase the scale. Today we are discussing fourth quarter, what is possible for you. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Irish Titan, an e-commerce and web development firm, Boulay Group, CPAs and advisors, Highland Bank, a locally owned community bank, Romaine Berg, a digital marketing agency, Voyager U, creating training and community for folks trying to lead an independent lifestyle, and Projection Smart, providing software for startups and growth companies to increase their revenues, understand their profits, and build forecasts. And then last but not least, the Network Connect, a catalytic gateway for growing your company. First, before we get started, hit the subscribe and like button for Club E. It's right down by the video. I'll wait. It'll take a moment. By hitting the subscribe button, it allows us to connect with you before we get going so we can tell you when we are going live. You also can now catch Club E on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, and many others. All right, want to introduce our speaker today, Anna Struss. Anna, welcome.
Thank you. So great to be here, Rick. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a super fun conversation. Anna and I have worked together on a number of different things, so I'm looking forward to our conversation. You can get Anna's contact information in the comments field, as well as leave questions for her. All right, before we dive into kind of the meat of what we're talking about today, Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your firm, and then the various things that you're up to these days.
Yeah. So again, my name is Anna Struss. I'm the founder of Tangled Anchor, and that is at the base of it, a health coaching company. And we also do event management through there. So my background, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, if I can say that. So I have a lot of background in community service. I have background in community connection. I also have background in sales and design. I've done a lot of mentorship throughout the course of my professional career. And at the basis of it, I just enjoy living through a place of possibility. So that kind of is what founded Tangled Anchor, was just in talking with people and watching people wanting to grow and develop into who they authentically want to be, but felt a little stuck. And just transparently, that was myself as well. We're all on our own journey. So a lot of what I say to others, I'm coaching within myself to be authentically who I desire to be.
Is there a little bit of a story to the name?
Yeah, so Tangled Anchor, I really enjoy when people ask what it means. I typically will put that back on the person and say, what does it mean for you? But for sake of our discussion, I'll just explain it, not to put you on the spot. So Tangled Anchor, my tagline is clarity in the chaos. And so in life, no matter who you are, no one's exempt from life and its ups and downs, right? We all have our high mountaintop moments and we all have our low valley moments, and that's okay. It's a part of life. But the key to it is, no matter where we're at, when specifically we're in the valleys, where are we putting our focus and our attention? And quite possibly you can have clarity in the chaos of it all when you're really being aware of where you're putting your focus. So even this year is a prime example, right? There's a lot going on externally that is kind of a force on us that's pressuring us to feel constrained, to feel fear, to feel overwhelmed, to feel pulled in different directions where we've maybe never been pulled before, especially with parents and having to have kids at home. If you're having to be quarantined, there's all kinds of things. And so instead of always rubbing against that and feeling the tension and the frustration, it's what if we were willing to accept that this is just how it is right now, and how can I create the possibility of what is possible within the confinement of where we're having to be within our time frame and our day to day. So Tangled Anchor is simply the short of it is where you put your focus will allow you to have a really effective outcome of what you're wanting to pursue.
Yeah, love the name. Prior to doing my own firm, I worked with two other guys in a venture fund called Sherpa Partners.
Oh, yeah.
name Sherpa tells you exactly what we were doing. So I totally get what you're saying. Love the name Tangled Anchor and look forward to learning more today. So
Thank you.
Anna, you and I have known one another for say 2.5 years or so. We've worked together on the Network Connect, one of the Clubby sponsors. You can learn more about the Network Connect at www.thenetworkconnect.com, kind of a sister group to Clubby. And then we've also interacted on Clubby. Personally, I see your skills as organizational, motivational, your unique capabilities are in those areas. How might somebody benefit from working with you?
Yeah. So as it relates to coaching, the benefit of that, what I sometimes say is first that client has to want to powerfully show up for yourself, and that takes a little bit of courage. So having the right system and support in place for these clients is really important, and that's something that I offer to the clients. But outside of that, just the benefit of working with Tangled Anchor and the coaching methodology that I offer, it's really giving clients the possibility to have a new awareness of what's possible for themselves. We all have this a type of blind spot. We can't see what we can't see, right? And so when I'm able to hold you accountable for that space where you're wanting to grow, it's a support for you. There's two types of support. There's support in a place that is loving, and there's a support that's called stretch. Most of our families give us support in a loving way, and we need that, and that's great. But your family member might not tell you that you didn't do that great of a job, actually, and here's some areas where you could improve. So that's where a coach comes in really handy, as we can be that authentic stretch partner for you to really bring you up to the next level of where you desire to be.
All right, great. And then you mentioned that you're a certified health coach. Uh, how does that work, and what does that actually mean?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for that question. I think no matter what industry you're in, oftentimes we think we're being clear about communicating what we do, and oftentimes people have no idea. So even at the platform of being a certified health coach, I think if I to give you what it is for me, and if you maybe spoke to two or three other certified health coaches, they might give you a different answer. So for me, what that means is a place of what I'm not. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a psychologist. I don't do anything with necessarily dealing with what was of your past. I really don't care much about that as it relates to what you might come to me for to be able to move forward in your life. So think about an Olympic athlete. So these are people that arguably are the best athletes in our nation or in the world, and they hire a coach. Why? They hire that coach because they want to continue to refine and create awareness about how they can be better to be that top athlete. So those are the people that I'm looking for, are those people that are already a high performance person. They're already in a place of greatness, but they want to continue to leverage that. And so as a certified health coach, what I do is through a platform of your health and wellness. I work through a methodology that from the school that I went to do what's called TCM, transformational health coaching or transformational habit change. And so with that, what it is there's for all of us, we have routine. One of the reasons that some of the COVID challenge this year is so challenging for us is because it's different and it's there, we can't escape it. There's habits that have changed for us and that disrupts our routine. And so we feel out of chaos or out of control in a place of chaos because our habits have had to change. So as a health coach, what I do is I come in and we help identify the areas where you want to create a goal to create change. And we don't focus necessarily on the goal as much as the path to get there. And so I help create step by step. Weekly, we connect and we talk through new information. And then you have the opportunity to put that information into real life action throughout the week. And then we connect back the next week and we say, how's it going? And if it didn't go good, great, let's talk about it. What happened? And if it did go good, great. So then we're on the path to moving more towards what your desired outcome is.
Yeah, absolutely. Changing behavior is very difficult on the business front. I know from making investments, it always strikes me as a challenge if you really need to change people's behaviors. Much easier to layer in a new business solution that dovetails into things they're already doing. So your job is not easy, Anna.
Right.
So back to the health coach just for a moment. How do you tie being a health coach into other areas of your coaching?
Yeah. So the health coaching is really the basis of what I really enjoy doing, because I truly believe that your health, if you don't have your health, then you're not going to be effective in your job. If you don't have your health, you're not going to be able to be effective in your job. You're not going to have clarity and efficiency, all those things. So the importance of, we have to bring our best selves every day. And oftentimes, specifically with women, oftentimes you'll hear them say, well, I feel bad that I need to give to everybody else before I can give to myself. And it's really powerful when specifically women realize that, oh no, when you're shorting yourself, you're actually shorting everybody else, because you're showing up drained, maybe a little anxious about things. And so learning how to deal with just the flow of everything and to really bring your best self. So from a health coaching standpoint, and how does that carry over to other coaching? If I have high endorphins and I have clarity in my mind and I'm on point and I'm ready to be effective throughout my day, it's probably because I'm taking care of myself internally first. And then that comes out for the people that I'm being surrounded with throughout my day. So the health coaching is the basis, but quite frankly, a lot of times when I get in with clients, we end up talking about other things. We talk about finances, we talk about relationships, we talk about different habits that have become a constraint for us. So the health is the foundation of it, and then we grow from there to really identify where is this showing up in other areas of our lives, so that we can really be like a holistic habit change for a person.
The kinds of businesses that come to me on the business front often have similar themes, similar challenges. So I will often talk to folks about saying, hey, your business is a little different, but the problems you're facing are similar. When you think about the folks that have come to you, are there commonalities on the types of people that you work with and the challenges they're facing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say that the challenges are always different, but the if we can call it the process is actually pretty structured in how we can help to create change. So a lot of the commonality with my clients is simply somebody that is aware that they're kind of either sick and tired of being sick and tired, or they are simply aware that they want the accountability and the support throughout the week. And so I can offer that to them until they get to that space where they can hold that for themselves, where it's been realized for themselves. And then there's, oftentimes something else that comes up that we create that powerful change around. But the commonality is simply that somebody has the desire to want something different.
Okay. So they come to you, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They want something different. I think you and I run parallel lives in that regard. When people come to you and they're looking for change, what are the key things that you believe your clients take away from working with you?
Yeah. So I often think that one of the biggest things that clients take away from working with me is the possibility that they had what they needed all along, but they just didn't know how to identify or access it. Um, Oftentimes, when we're struggling in an area where habit change is the issue, that is always the baseline of it. Um, it's really powerful to recognize, oh, you have the power to change. It's simply switching. One of our sessions that we will run through is a linking pleasure to motivation. So we always are going to do what feels best for us. So if your alarm goes off, it's 6 a.m. and it feels best for you that you hit the snooze and you keep laying there, that's what you're going to do. Versus if you've got it in your brain that that, gee, if I work out and this is the time that I've decided that I have available to do it, and long term, I want to have the energy and the longevity to be able to be active with my kids, or I want to be able to go on some adventure and it will require me to have a higher endurance. I'm now motivated to want to get out of bed and go to the gym because I've linked to something that is a pleasurable outcome for me down the road. See the distinction?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so then a reminder to our audience, if you want to ask Anna some questions, put your questions in the comments field. Similarly, you can see how to get a hold of her there. And then also remember to hit the subscribe and like button. That'll allow us to serve up better content for you. All right, so as I look back at the companies and business leaders I've been talking to during the last 7 or so months that we've been in shutdown, some common things I've been seeing are folks struggling with their supply chain, maybe seeing too much customer concentration and feeling uncomfortable with that. Maybe it's just overall anxiety. What would
Mhm.
you say to people that have experienced a greater intensity of their challenges in 2020?
Yeah. So, one story that I wanted to share that was really powerful for me, I have spent roughly about 3 years where I mentored and volunteered at Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge. It's a drug and alcohol treatment program. And there was a day where I was going every Wednesday night, they go to a church service, and I like to ride in the back of the van with the clients. And as we got out of the van, we're walking into the church, I realized there's no distinction here that I'm not one of them. And all of a sudden I felt embarrassed. I felt like, oh, I'm just here to help. I don't have a problem. And when we walked into the church, there was this instant knowing in my spirit where I felt like the Lord said to me, you know what? You might not have an addiction like them, but we all have some type of an addiction. And it powerfully shifted my mindset because you're right. I've never struggled with any type of substance abuse, but the difference for you and I is if we have an issue with gossip, or we have an issue with our self-image, or if we have an issue with that we don't, walk in a place of integrity in our businesses, people might never know that, but arguably, is that killing you? As a treatment facility, they have to powerfully show up to say, if I don't change something, there's a real likelihood that I might die. Where for you and I, we could go our whole lives and not walk in integrity. We're not going to necessarily die, right? But where are you kind of cutting yourself short to live powerfully for yourself and to just be able to be with the people around you? So I share that story because as we are living in a challenging year right now, we get to choose how we're going to respond. And some of it is really, really challenging for some people. For some of it, there might be some people where they don't feel like they've really had much of a change. Maybe, if they don't have kids, maybe they've already been working from home. For some people, they might say, I haven't really felt a lot of effect of this. But for people that have felt like there's a lot of change and it is overwhelming, what I would say to you is to allow yourself the grace to just accept what is and not keep yourself at a standard that you're supposed to be able to continue to do all the things plus all the new things. We oftentimes don't allow ourselves to just recognize that things have changed, and that this, whether it's a long-term normal or a new normal temporarily, there is a new normal. And so what do you need to do to show up for yourself powerfully, to change some habits within your daily routine, to be honest with yourself, to be able to communicate with others, hey, listen, this is where I'm at, and this is what I'm able to give to you today or this week, or and to kind of be unapologetic about it. Because if you try to do all of the schedule plus some, you're going to fall short, and then you're going to probably miss things, and you're going to kind of, just feel agitated. And so you want to continue to just be present with what's truly possible for yourself.
Absolutely. And a new normal, a key word. So again, Irish Titan is one of the clubby sponsors, longtime sponsors. So appreciate that support, Irish Titan and all their Titans. Yesterday, they had an e-com event where they were talking about the new normal. And I think back over the COVID era with our clients and portfolio companies, one of the things that we focused on at the base level was just cash management and doing 13-week cash flows with our clients. And now we've done a couple of 13-week cash flows because this has dragged on the lockdown and the challenging business. Do you see people facing a wider range of challenges this year, or are people focused on a tighter level, a tighter set of base level issues, things like just staying safe, being healthy, putting food on the table?
Yeah. Well, again, if just to piggyback off of what you said, a new normal. I mean, we really do live in that. There's people where all of a sudden they're working from home and their kids are home 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 days a week. So we're having to adapt to that. So I think there is a fundamental shift that has happened. For some people, financially, there is a constraint on the table that is new and unfamiliar, that wasn't a part of their own doing. For other people, again, it's just schedules and trying to figure out what is the schedule and how are we going to balance this and that. So I think that people are kind of focusing more on more of those foundational things right now. But I also think if we were to looking again, I always tend to look through the lens of where's the silver lining in it. Going back to Tangled Anchor's just mantra of clarity in the chaos, wherever we place our focus is where we're going to be magnified. So if I focus on everything that's not going well, myself included, I feel overwhelmed, I feel trapped, I feel stuck. Versus if I start to focus on what are some of the things that are maybe a good thing out of this. Well, number one, we have to trust that it's not going to be like this forever. That's just, I'm no mind reader of the future, but we do have to trust it's not going to be like this forever. So what do I need to do in the short term to be able to allow myself some space? Maybe I get to spend more time with my family. Maybe I get to shift as far as that I don't have to sit in traffic every morning. There are some things that we can just choose to be grateful for that will shift our mindset, so we're not always in that place of agitation and fear.
Yeah, I drove somewhere the other day around 8 in the morning and hadn't done that for a while. Still shocking how little traffic there is moving around at that time of day.
Right.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of words earlier that I wrote down: authentic, integrity. For whatever reason, over the years, a couple of times I've had to leave some clients or walk some from some investments. Usually it's an integrity issue, something that the business leader is doing that's unethical. Every once in a while, it's a disagreement about fact, in the sense of 2 + 2 = 4. But if we can't agree to facts, that's a challenge. Have you ever had to terminate any coaching relationships? And if so, what were the reasons?
Yeah. So, knock on wood, I have not terminated any clients thus far. However, I do go through a pretty proactive consultation with clients. I don't take every client. So, that is kind of where I do my own filtering there. If your area where you want to shift something isn't great enough, I don't know that for me to work with you, you're going to really feel a powerful, effective change in that. So I might suggest a few things to that client and send them on their way. I might suggest maybe here's another referral partner that might be a better fit for you. So I try to ensure that for both of us, that this is something where you're going to get the desired outcome that you want, and I'm going to be able to give you what you're looking for, before we move into actually doing some deep work together.
All right. And then you talked about values, and obviously there are several that are important to you. If you were to highlight one core value that you share with each of your clients, what would that be?
Ooh. Um, I think for me, if I were to highlight just one core value, it is really the opportunity of, again, this whole discussion is around what's possible. Um, I think that's the biggest thing that I enjoy giving to my clients through the awareness of their own habit change. Um, you know, so often you'll hear somebody say, I just never thought that this was possible. I had a client one time where she's got two younger kids, and she just felt like she couldn't find the time to work out. And within 3 weeks of working together, she was walking every day. Her husband said, I can already see a change in you. You have more energy, you're happier. But for her, she had decided in her brain, I don't have time to work out because of X, Y, and Z. So we decide something about ourselves and about what's possible. And then we look for ways to prove that to be true. And so, what's possible if you were to continue, just to be open to that, maybe there's another way to do what we're doing. For yourself in the business world, it's the same thing. Businesses have a way that they're operating. And here you learn about this guy over here that has a different way of operating that perhaps is more effective or it's more efficient. And well, cool, let's try to implement some of these things so that we can continue to rise in our own um, way of being for our customers. So I'm doing that just on a personal level with clients, is looking for ways where you've got a way that you think that this is the only option on the table. My job as a coach is to show you that there's another choice.
A reminder for the Club E audience out there that you can submit your questions in the comment field. Anna and I would be happy to try to get to those. So, question from Matt, longtime listener. He wanted to know if there were any kind of tips or hacks for motivation on the front end, because the hardest part is probably either to get started or stick with it on the front end, because you haven't really seen a lot of progress or you haven't seen a lot of benefit. And so any tips to the folks who are either just trying to get started or are in it a little bit and their muscles are sore, for example,
Yeah.
and yet they still have to kind of keep pushing even though they aren't seeing the outcome yet?
Yeah, so love that question. Even your reference to the gym, because that's what I was going to use as an example. One, I would strongly encourage you to throw your scale out. Don't step on your scale every day. It will demotivate you in the highest possible way. But secondly, if we were to use the analogy of the gym as an example, if you go to the gym today, for example, and you wake up tomorrow, Rick, will you see any actual change within yourself? Yes or no?
No.
No, you won't. For sake of time, in a week, will you see any difference? No, you won't. So the powerful tip hack that we could offer to you, was it Matt? Is simply that you aren't going to feel like it for a while, and that's the key tip there. Is if we do how we feel, we're not going to do what we actually want, because our brains are not operating equally with what our desires are. So our brain tries to keep us safe. Our brain tries to keep us in a space where we are whatever is most comfortable to us. Um, so that would be my tip to him: is don't go on how you feel. Give yourself a true pathway to stay committed to. So, and it's showing up every day for yourself. And after 15, 20, 30 days, you're going to see that habit change. But again, sometimes that's where a coach really comes in, is because it's that person to just kind of nudge you a little bit and how's it going, and to give some tips there.
Sure. So one of our recent speakers talked about some of the books that she enjoyed. Are there tools that you've gotten a lot of value out of, whether it's a book or whether it's a movie, or whether it's YouTube session, or are there folks that you utilize to either bring new ideas to you or help motivate you on your own journey?
Yeah. So two things within the tool within yourself that we all have would be your breath. It sounds silly, but our brains are wired. We can't tell the difference between real danger and elusive danger. For example, a lion chasing you versus your boss telling you something and yelling at you. Uh, both are this. Our bodies will respond the same way. So when we're breathing, when we allow ourselves to breathe slow, to take a few deep breaths and just pause, it actually is tricking your brain into thinking that you're safe and there's nothing wrong. It allows for your digestive tract to continue. Your metabolism starts rolling again. So all of these things, it's very tricky. Our bodies are amazing and powerful. So the first one would simply be if you're feeling overwhelmed about something, you're feeling nervous about something, simply to just take a few breaths. That would be the first one. The second one for me personally that I don't have access to give to all of you is I am part of a it's called the Health Coach Institute. That's the certification that I got my certification through. And so that's a whole community of people all around the globe. They're always posting things, they're always asking questions. And so we're always kind of fine tuning our own skills and learning new things through there. We have our own convention that we go to continue to learn and develop our skills so that we can bring our best selves to the clients that we're wanting to help create habit change for them.
Great, great. How about a key takeaway for our talk today? Maybe it's something you'd like to reiterate. Maybe it's something that we didn't get to. But if there's one key takeaway from our session today, what would that be?
So this is going to sound a little cliche, but the key takeaway that I think is really, really important, and even an area where you can kind of hack yourself, so to speak, is just being in that place of gratitude. So often, if I find that I'm feeling anxious or uneasy about something, I often will realize that I'm not acknowledging the areas that things are going well for me, or the areas where I can be grateful for what currently is in my life. There's times where things aren't going well, right? And so we can focus on those things, or I can say, okay, what's actually true for me still? I mean, as an American in our nation, we're regardless of where you live in our nation, you're still one of the top richest people in the world. So it's a perspective. Most people in the world don't have a car. There's certain things where if you really start to dumb it down and start to recognize some of the things that you actually do have going for you. Rick, you can see me, you can hear me. You haven't thought once about whether your heartbeat is going to keep going for you, probably during our conversation. So all of those things, it's like, oh yeah, I am safe. I do have what I need for today, and so I'm good. So that would be my key takeaway, is for people to sometimes just really, if you're feeling off, what are you grateful for?
Yeah, attitude of gratitude, and boy, that gets you through some tough times, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, good perspective. A lot of folks have cars. A lot of people have smartphones. A lot of people have good food on the table. So lots to be grateful for, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of being grateful, last question for you. Was there something that happened over your career that you learned from, that you found very helpful and you wished you would have learned it sooner, whether it was a piece of advice or something that just happened and you just dealt with it, or whatever comes to mind? Again, the kind of the question, we're wrapping it up here, is what would you have liked to know a little sooner, and maybe there's something special in your life that you've gotten a lot out of?
Yeah. Um, I think one of the areas where I would have appreciated to know sooner is to really allow my authentic self to be present. Um, I think for me, sometimes I have this powerful ability just be happy in any environment. I did a program a while ago where I traveled overseas. I didn't choose my meal for 6 months, out of my comfort zone all the time. Uh, but but through that, it was, I was able to adapt all the time. So there's a lot of good qualities about that, but it was also sometimes I would lose the ability to maybe speak up to say how I really feel. And so just on the journey of what is it that you truly want for yourself, and that it's okay to acknowledge those things and to pursue those things for yourself. So that would be one that I think would be a good takeaway. Is sometimes we get so caught up in just going through the motions of life and feeling like we have to do something because either we're trying to keep up with our neighbor or it's an image thing, whatever it might be for you, to just be willing to take a moment and say, where am I at? What do I really desire? Where do I maybe need to have some new conversations to reconnect with people, whatever, it might be.
Very good point. Very good. Good. Anna, thank you very much for being here with us today. Look forward to having you back sometime. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rick. It was great being here.